But if you have a question is like a hole in your mind in how you think, and you want to find the answer. Your brain wants the answer so it can fill the hole. So if you are learning, and I help you learn, then instead of just giving you a bunch of words, I can fill the hole for you. I can help you to fill that hole. And then it's a part of you. It's a part of who you are. So it doesn't go away when you fall asleep. It's part of how you think. Now, you can also ask your cell phone a question. You can just look up a word, right? But the problem with that is, you have a question, you find the answer. It's pretty much the same thing, right? You have a question, you find the answer. It might satisfy you for now, but tomorrow you still won't remember it. However, if you use a real dictionary, a book, you have to work, it takes time, right? It's not easy, so it takes time, you have to work. The more you work, the deeper that hole gets. It's just like with exercise, right? If you want big muscles, it takes time and work. There's no fast, easy way, right? So that's why I don't like cell phones in class, and I don't encourage using them for learning words. If you don't quite understand, then you can ask, and then we can discuss it more. And if you still don't really understand the word, that's okay. Because it's not the answer that's really important. It's asking the question, looking for an answer. That's the part that matters. So, back to this word here. When we talk about a movie script or a play script, then we're talking about, the story, right? When we talk about scripture, this is always religious, like the Bible, the Quran, things like that. When we talk about a manuscript, there's a word in here that you might recognize. You see it in other places. You might recognize it in a car. When you have to change the gears in the car, right? If you have a good quality car, then maybe you still have a manual transmission instead of automatic. If the car changes gears automatically, then you don't have to do anything. But on older cars or more expensive cars, usually, you have to change the gears. You have to use your hand, right? So, this is written by hand, right? It's something written by hand. Manufacture. You make something by hand, right? So most factories today, we cannot really say they manufacture things. Most products today are not manufactured. They're made by machines, right? So it's really only something that's done by hand that we can say is manufactured. So when we look at the parts of those words, that lets you recognize them in other places. We don't always have a very obvious connection between the words. For example, manual can also refer to a book, right? A manual is a book that tells you how to do something. So if you buy a new computer, there might be a book of instructions, right? Or usually then on the computer it's already a file. When you get a new machine of some kind, there might be an instruction manual, right? A manual, meaning a book that tells you how to use it. What's the relationship with hand? It's a little bit obscure. The idea is if you want to fix the machine yourself with your own hands, then you need the instructions to do it manually, to do it by hand. Okay, so that is kind of then related to our adverb manually by hand. Okay? So sometimes the relationship isn't as strong. But if you get in the habit of looking for these relationships, then it's a lot easier to use English words. So that's a large part of learning vocabulary, really learning it, and not just, memorizing fire, shui, water, and then forgetting it all, right? So that's why I hate cell phones for that. But, okay, so we're just doing introductions, so what's your name? Ting, okay. And what do you study? 你学什么? Well, right now you study English, right? But what's your major? Is your major English?
I don't know.
What are the other courses that you take? What department? How do you say department in Chinese? Department.
Yeah.
Could you say
Department.
department?
Like tourism or language or design, what the, yeah.
Something like major.
Yeah.
专业你是学什么系的？
我 swimming. 数位媒体 in English.
Okay. What is it about?
Like digital 媒体是算动画吗？
是动画。
制作。
So if it's digital, then it's on the computer. A kind of design, like web design, or game design, or
Something like game design.
okay. Is it like 3D graphics? That kind of, yeah.
3D.
Okay. So, see, even without looking up the words, we can sort of ask questions and get more information, right? So, it's an important part to building your language skills. So, what would you guys like to talk about today? We have some introductions. Oh yeah, I'm Steph, by the way. I'm from Canada, I'm not American. Yeah. So my major is language. That's why I look at language this way. Because if you don't understand how language works, studying it is a waste of time, right? But part of the problem is most people don't study their own language. 你们都有没有学中文？真的学中文？中文的文法、中文的发音有没有学？真的学的吗？你们了解中文的发音吗？ Because if you want to learn another language and you don't really understand how Chinese works, you're learning everything for the first time. And it doesn't really make sense. Have you ever tried to teach your grandparents how to use a smartphone? Like, the thing is, your grandparents are probably okay with, a phone like this, right? I like this. I hate smartphones. The thing is, if you know how to use this, and then somebody says, I want to see you face to face, so we can do that video chat thing, whatever they call it, right? So you want your grandmother to use a smartphone. How will you teach her? You take this and you throw it away, and then you start all over.